Okay. Good morning. I don't know why I feel like I'm missing something today, but I am. I feel like I'm missing something besides my coffee. So, good morning. Happy Saturday, guys. Bear with me once again. Y'all already know I multitask. So, today I have my special guest here. Press forward, Jose Morales. ¿Cómo estás?
Good. How you doing?
So, real quick, guys, happy birthday to whoever's birthday is this week. Turn up, turn up. And I really want to say that I am so excited to have Mr. Morales here because we actually met on Instagram, the love of social media. But I was watching a lot of the things that he was always posting. I think that we spoke a few times via DM just about what he's doing in the community, what he's doing, just trying to help children. We do have, I'm going to put this across the stream. And so right there, we have some hotlines that you guys can write down, save them. You share them. You just never know. You guys, please feel free to share. We're going to be discussing some amazing topics today. Okay, so Mr. Morales, tell us a little bit about yourself.
All right. My name is Jose Morales. I'm the owner and founder of Press Forward Motivation Speaking, and was born in the Bronx, South Bronx. In 71. Was raised out there, and half of my life I was bouncing from there to upstate New York, in Middletown.
Okay.
And just been going through a course of my life, just bouncing back and forth. So this is where I'm at now. So I've just been speaking and engaging with people that need help, advice, leadership skills, community work skills, whatever it is that they needed. That's what I normally do. That's my area. And then I talk about diversity, talk about bullying, anti-bullying, and all sorts of things. So I'm pretty much the Renaissance guy. I'm pretty much spread out everywhere.
Pastor.
Yes.
Okay, so how did you get involved in all of this? Let's talk about, because we had a conversation prior. Let's talk about what it took for you to get there. Let's talk about the old Mr. Morales.
No, we don't want to.
You know, a lot of people don't realize. They look at a lot of the youth now, and we can say that they're misbehaved or they're headed in the wrong direction, right. And that could possibly be. But it also takes that time to grow as well and know, okay, I have to turn my life around for the better. So let's talk about the old Morales and getting you to who you are today.
Okay, so apparently, Yo Morales.
The old Morales?
Yeah, it's like, oh, wait, should I even be? This should be confidential. It shouldn't even be.
Sorry, my bad.
So my prior life when I was younger, I was just pretty much of a self kid. I was not really into much of everything. I was the only child at the time. I did hang out a lot with my cousin, so we used to do a lot of things together. Not cool things. We just did things that we ain't supposed to be doing. And then throughout my life, as I was growing up, I had a bad childhood, so to speak. Then at that particular time with my mom, because my mother had my real father at the time, he was abusive to her, and he was into drugs, and he was a womanizer, and so my childhood consists of being exposed to drugs, sex, domestic abuse, all kinds of things. So that was my childhood life back then, and so I kind of, for some strange reason, growing up, I felt I was out of place. There's something inside me. I just couldn't figure out what it was that why did I feel so different anyway? I never really felt compelled to get into any drugs or do any drinking. You know, at the time, I was just trying to be a kid and have a life. But meanwhile, with the aggravation, I guess that my father had brought my mother at the time, I was getting the beating left and right on a daily basis. So that was the old me. That's what I had to go through when I was a child. I was getting beat up on a constantly daily basis. Um, I was always she pretty much put me in the same category as my father because every time I did something, she was always say, "Hey, wait a minute! Oh, you want to be like your father now? You want to be a clown? You want to be this?" And she always put me in that category with him. When I knew deep inside I wasn't nothing like him, but I just didn't understand why she had this thing that she made me feel so out of place. And then whenever he starts some nonsense in the house, of course, she has nobody else but me right there in the house to take it on. And so that was a pattern that it kept on throughout my life.
And I feel like too that happens in a lot of households. You know, the woman is angry at the male father, spouse, and the children.
Right.
It's taken out on the children. Not in all cases, but it happens. You know,
Right.
and we don't understand. Like when you don't know what goes on in someone else's home, you don't understand why that child is angry or misbehaves or really out in the street.
Yeah, because you don't know what happens behind closed doors.
You don't know what happens. And at the end of the day, like we're human. Kids are human. They have feelings and emotions. A lot of times, I think as adults, the children's emotions and feelings are disregarded because they're looked at as they don't know better. You know, like they don't really know. They're young. In actuality, kids know so much more than what we may think that they know. And and remember, they're still learning as adults. I'm 40, you know, and I'm still learning to deal with and balance my emotions. So just imagine for someone who is just say 8, 9, 10, 13, you know, they're dealing with their emotions, learning to balance peer pressure from their peers, and then having to also deal with whatever is going on in a home that a lot of times they have to keep a secret.
Right. And then that's what it is. So and back in the 70s, it was a lot worse than it is now. Now at least you have a lot of resources, a lot of alternative, a lot of path that you can head and get some sort of help. But back then, that was not even common. Like you're like, oh, you want to get help? All right, pass me that slipper. And it was game. That was your medication right there. Cut it a deal. You know, it's like it was. You don't need any of that. And so, and that was what happened back then. So that was my upbringing when I was young, because my mother was only 16, turning 17 when she had me. And my grandmother, which her mother, had just passed away a month before I was born. And so I never got to meet my grandmother. But being that my mother was always depending on my grandmother because she was still a child herself, a lot was like on her shoulders. Because now, as a kid, doesn't know what she's going to do now because her mother passed away. And so all that comfort that she had and that security went out the window, because now it's like, now what? Now I had to depend on this man that so-called says he's here for me. I mean, that's my assumption that I'm thinking, because now I can see that. And so that's pretty much what ended up happening. So then as I started getting older, I was just being rebellious.
And then also go back to, you know, your mom depending on your grandmother
to
be there because, you know, now that's what you rely on.
That's an emotional roller coaster.
It is. And I think too, a lot of times as women, I don't know, things have changed from the 70s to now, you know, but to be honest with you, it's still a struggle for women because not only are you trying to find your independency,
right,
you know, or not really to relying on individuals, whether it be the spouse, your boyfriend, baby father, whatever, you know, your mom, your parents. Some women, okay, they'll rely on it, but some women, most women, I can probably say that I know, will not, you know? So now you're balancing being that parent, being independent, how do I figure this out? You know, especially with this raising boys. I only have one boy, but I have 4 girls. Oh Lord. Yeah, like, but it's kind of difficult though, because I feel, and you know, this is why we're here to discuss it, and anybody else can comment. Um, Gosha. Hi, Gosha. Good morning. Happy Saturday. So I want to say that, yeah. So for to balance that out, and then today, like I said, I have 4 girls and 1 boy, and you know they're pretty much grown except for 2. But it's like, how do we fit the puzzle of dad being that father figure into, because these young boys today need a positive male role model.
Right.
And I think that is lacking so much that that teen is growing up and he doesn't know where to go.
Right.
Females need dad. Females need dad. Yes, mom teaches them about, you know, these things of life, you know, that the women go through.
Needs some structure too, because you know, you have to have a balance in that house, because you teach them the love and the kindness from the mom, and then you teach the work ethics and being strong minded from the father. But now that was back then. Now fast forward, we have that on both, because we also, you know, you have to be mindful as well that there's women that got to a point where they got tired of being tired. Like,
they got tired of being sick and tired.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like, okay, so it got to the point where I think that now in the household, some, not all, but women are starting to realize that if you're gonna have someone by your side, you want them to be by your side because they want to be, not because they have to be. It's a big difference. And so when you have someone that's next to you because they want to be there, it structures the house better. Because then it's not about I'm right and I'm wrong. Because well, how I am is who I am. It's nothing to do about me being right or wrong. It's just who I am as a person. And the same thing goes my wife. So however she is as a person, she's not right or wrong. So you can't always tell the kids that, oh, I'm always right and she's wrong. It's always good to have a balance, because what good is it gonna be 2 people being the same in the house? That gotta be the most boring damn couple ever.
I know.
You look at each other like, and then you go back out to TV and bam, bam, bam. Like, you know, like, you want to get that? No, I don't want to get that. So you're like, you have nothing going on. And so, and for me also, I think it's essential for a couple to not be embarrassed to show love for each other, not towards the kids, but as a spouse in a group. Because you gotta let them know that it's okay to share love with each other. It's okay to know, you know, let them know.
I think they also get to experience it, not just by words. Like I say, a lot of times you can say, like, you know, no cursing or no smoking, and they see it, you know?
Right.
It's the same thing. When you show love and affection and your children see that, not only do they know what love and affection is, they know how to express theirs. You know, I'm also affectionate with my children.
That's normal. That's what it's about. You know, like I do the same with my wife. I'm always cuddling with her and all that. And then my daughter Serena starts like, God, you guys making me sick. Get a room. But all we doing is hugging and kissing, you know, so we joking around. And I made it a point to tell her that. I said, listen, you should be grateful that we're loving towards each other.
How old is she?
She's 15. And
so say that though. Let me tell you though, they say that, but you know, I don't want to say that.
Yeah,
but
I know. And
when they get older, they're gonna be like, you know, I saw my parents, you know, being so loving, and they look for that.
Right, and they need that, because I know she's one of those. She try to play hardcore, but she's not. She's a, you know, she's very giving, very loving. She's out there, and she, you know, so. But that's who. It was important for me and for my wife to be who we are. I think what makes it great for us is that I am who I am, and she's not trying to change me, and she is who she is, and I don't have to change her. So I think that's the glue to everything. When you just allow that person to be them, and they can walk around comfortable in their own skin, that's a good thing, because now the kids not only seeing this, they're getting affected by this, because they'd be like, man, I really don't have to be a model.
So how can we help those kids, like for an example, like we were saying, that don't get to see that have that brokenness in home? Because I want to make this clear too, and you know, you can agree to disagree, which is fine, or anybody for that matter.
Right.
Because we were talking about the structure in the home, and a lot of times, good morning, Suki. A lot of times, mom and dad is not in the home together,
right?
And we make it to feel like, well, that has to be in order for it to be structured. And I feel like in actuality, you know, even if the parents are not, if they're together, great. But if they live together and it's happy and it's comforting, but what if they're not? You know, it's still being putting the emotions and the feelings aside.
Yeah.
Understanding that we have to be mature and still being able to raise these children, whether we are in the same household or we're not.
Well, my mother was actually in that situation. She had to be the mother and the father for a while. So when my mother decided to really grab the nerve to get up and leave, she just did it at the middle of the night. And how ended up happening was, something happened. I came home and then they were fighting outside in the street. And for the first time since I'm overseeing him hit her, I decided to jump in the middle between them. And I was begging my father, crying not to hit my mother, not to hit mommy anymore. And then, please stop. And so he would just kind of like, he wanted to still attack my mother, but then it was like he was holding himself for the fact that he seen me how I was. He didn't, I guess he knew it affected me, but either the drugs or whatever he was in was taking over everything.
What happens like that? And Suki said, "Hi, Auntie Kim." Like my okay, sometimes having both parents in the home can do more harm than good if one is toxic or abusive. Right. And I'm glad that you mentioned that, because a lot of times people don't understand. And I wanna talk about toxic. So I'm glad she mentioned that, because a lot of people, when you use the word toxic, they take that as being a sexual abuse or verbal abuse, you know, or things like that. And for me, you know, toxic is on so many levels, because if the home is unhappy, the kids see that and they can recognize the unhappy.
It's in the air. It's in the air. You can feel it in the air.
That energy, that negative energy, that sad energy, it vibrates, whether we think it or not, it vibrates into the home, into the atmosphere, to the children.
Right. So that's true, because that was what ended up happening in my house. So it was just one of those nights. You know, it's bad that we're going through all that. At the time when I was going through all that, I even witnessed my mother trying to kill herself twice.
Wow.
She tried to commit suicide twice. She took pills, and I can remember like it was yesterday, and I was probably turning 7 years old. And then I was trying to wake her up, and she wouldn't wake up. And so where we lived in the projects across, coming out of my door, right across the hall, my aunt lived there, which was my mother's older sister. And so I walked over there and knocked on the door, and my cousin answered the door, and I was telling her that mommy's not waking up. I don't know why she's not getting up. I guess something in my face, I don't know what it was, made her run into the apartment, and then trying to shake her up. She tells me to try to scream and yell, because my mother couldn't stand my voice from yelling. She used to like want to kill me every time I scream. I had, I guess, a high pitch that drove her nuts. And so I was doing all the things that would drive her nuts, and she was not even budging a bit. And then I guess through all the screaming that was going on in the apartment, the door is open. The landlord, so I happened to hear what was going on. And then he came in, and then he started taking over, trying to figure out what to do. Back then, they weren't doing CPR that I know of, because he wasn't doing any CPR. So he had my cousin go get oil, like the kitchen oil, and he just started dosing it right down her mouth.
Oh my God!
Yeah, so he was doing that. I didn't get what it was, but what he was trying to do was, when you have that in, it makes you throw it up, whatever medication.
I never heard that.
Yeah, so I was like, well, then again, it's one of those home remedy thing, I guess. It didn't work. And so, and then, so I had to witness something like that. And then And because I was going through all this emotional stage, trying to figure out why, in God's name, was I even alive? Because every time there was something going on, I was getting beat up or yelled at, or something was happening that was never making her happy. There were days that when my father was never home, it kind of made it nice in certain ways, because then she was like kind of relaxed. She'd be doing her food and everything was all peachy. And I'll just sit and watch cartoons, and that was like this was paradise. And so back to when the last time my mother decided to just go ahead, what made her leave was the cop finally showed up, and then they arrested my father. So something in his eyes and the way he said it, what he said to my mother was, "When I come out of jail, I'm gonna come back and kill you." And just what he said and how he said it set a tone that we're known for my father to come across. What he says, he will do. He's that kind of guy, whether he's right or wrong. When he says something, he's that guy. He will walk the walk, he will talk the talk. And when he said it, I guess it was sometime around, I think it was around 9 or 8 at night or something like that. And this woman just started packing. She just started packing her bags, and we're like, "Where the hell are we going?" And at the time, my brother was born. So and this was in 1978. 1978, going on 79. This was when it happened. My brother's right there at the time, 1.5 years old. And Dad took the trip to Middletown, New York, upstate. And there is when then she had to figure out what now. So
Wow.
she needed to figure out now how to be dependent, because my father was the one that was bringing the money in the house. Or she was just a housewife, and she never did nothing. And so it was kind of difficult, because then at the time, I remember just eating the same food for a whole week, nonstop, being in a small little room. They call it an apartment, but it wasn't. It was just a damn room that we had to share the bathroom and the kitchen with everybody in this house. And we had to just cramp in there. And then, yeah, it was rough. And so through all that time, I got to a point where I decided that, you know what, maybe if I kill myself and committed suicide, my mother would have to live with it. And so crazy that at the age of 9 or 8 years old, I'm over here thinking about committing suicide, and so and it was what was exposed to me.
Yeah, and I think too, like, we don't understand the mental state of the youth, because
doesn't impact.
You experienced that in the 70s, right? So, and this is how I feel now, like, because I talk to a lot of the kids in the area, in the community, and it's sad because not only are they dealing with similar to what you experienced, and trust me, I've had some bad experience too that I could talk about going on in a home.
Right.
And, these kids are dealing with these things. And then now we have the social media bullies, the kids bullying now.
Now with this pandemic, crazy, because now.
Well, now they're dealing with I don't remember going through the bullying that these kids go through now. These kids go through a whole nother type of bullying. Like, we will be calling 4 eyes, or you ugly, or your mama. We will say those things.
Back then, they didn't have like what we have now. Social media is so big, you can tap into. You imagine what we're doing right now affects somebody that's in China.
Yep.
Crazy. Like, you think about that.
We have a few comments. I'm sorry. Kim says, kids don't make you love. It has to already be available before they are created to create a healthy atmosphere for them. Kids don't make a man stay. Real love, communication, and compassion.
That's right.
And Gosha says, amen, amen. And Nicole says, I'm talking about Kimmy Nicole, and real trust, because if not, violence will appear, or infidelity. I see it all the time. So I think too that, like, it's sad because a lot of times I think adults are selfish.
Yeah.
And, I could find myself, I'm not going to say like, I find myself that I've been there, not intentionally, because we don't understand the kids, and then the kids don't understand either, because the way society is, we are so forced to work so much, and it takes away from being available.
Right.
for your children the way that you would want to be. But like I always tell my kids this, is that at any time if you feel like, because work does not come before my children.
Right.
I don't care what bill needs to be paid. Yes, a roof needs to be over their head, but those bills will always be there.
Right.
But your children will not.
Just like the problems. A lot
You
of
get
people
what I'm saying?
think they go away.
And we gotta learn also to balance family life, your children versus work. Don't get me wrong, working is fine.
And it's
We
good.
have talked about this before going on air, right? We talked about the family
You know
thing.
what it is I teach that to the kids now. Some schools they're not happy with what I say, but I really don't care. Like I tell them, my middle name's not Sugarcoat. So you want the real deal, I'm gonna give it to you. That's just bottom line, you know. So I'm not gonna sit here and say, yeah, you should do this, you should do that, and yet I really don't believe in it. That's like, well, my daughter, I got that poor kid. She watches everything I do, and who I encounter with. If I go to a convention, a conference, whatever, I bring her with me, and she sees that I'm doing something, and she started to realize a lot of things. And then when she then realized that, I told her we were talking about discussion about college and how everything's conditioned. So it goes back to what you're saying is that society conditions our kids. They're broken. They broken to tell us, oh, you know, this is what you need to do. You get a job, you go to you go to school, you get a job, you're getting that, and blah blah blah.
Totally agree. Totally agree.
Right. I'm totally the opposite. I totally believe that's a bunch of BS.
Yeah.
That why not be your own boss and rather than be an employee?
They don't teach them that. You're right. They don't teach them entrepreneurship, and they need those type of classes because
they don't give it.
Because college is not for everybody. You know, I tell my kids, you don't have to go to college. You don't have to do that. But you know what? What is your passion? What can you? How can you turn your passion into a business?
Right.
Yeah. Suki says, back in the day, we called each other all kinds of names. It made us develop a tough skin, but this generation has no social skills. Everything is behind a computer, which makes it easier for people to bully. And that's so true because people who would have never bullied before are being bullies now.
Right.
You know, making the fake account.
They're home and like, all right, so, oh, what's up with this guy? Oh, let's see what's this girl
That's
doing.
The way of entertainment.
They have nothing better to do. The sad thing is that people that are in that condition, the bully, are going through some crisis that this is their way of crying help.
Exactly. I was just about to say that.
They're going through this whole nonsense because they don't know how to deal with it. And so because they're so upset with what's taking place at home, they retaliate against others that have nothing to do with them. Or because you look all pretty or you look all nice or you look something like, really? Like, so, and that's
some way, some form, they're being bullied. They're being overshadowed. Maybe it's at home, abuse, sexual abuse, verbal abuse. So they don't know how to, the only way that they can conquer and feel empowered is by bullying someone else. So something we focus, don't get me wrong, I'm all for, you know, the victim, but we will continue having bullies if we don't focus on the person who is doing the bullying. Why? Because you're not just doing it to just do it. There's a reason. What is it that you're fixing?
You gotta fix the root of the problem, and that's the root of the problem. Because that's like right now I'm an ambassador for Compel America. The unique thing about them is that's what they do. They target the bully. They don't worry about the victim. I mean, we do help both, but what good is it for the victim if we can't help the bully?
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? So we're never even protecting the victim. We kind of give them a secure blanket and telling the bully, well, it's okay. You continue doing what you're doing, but we got a secure blanket out there. It doesn't work that way. You know, like apparently something has to take place. Something has to be initiated. And this is what I do in my end. So like now I work for, well, I'm contracted through the district where I'm at, and I'm a community life mentor. And so that's what I deal with, high risk kids. I deal with nonsense like that. Kids that are like hardcore, like smoking pot, into drugs, all kinds of things, all kinds of trouble, just got out of probation, in and out of jail. Like this is what I deal with. And so I know firsthand what it's like because I've been there. I lived it, tasted it. So who better than the one that lived it to give them that help. You know,
That-
because
yes,
if
yes.
we're breaking down at them, they're gonna be like, no, now you're pressing up on me, and so well, it's my fault now that I'm the way I am. Which
Because
is
you
not,
know how to handle them, you know, like a lot of people feel like you got to be tough on them. You got to
no,
learn how to, because a lot of they're crying out some way, shape, or form. So you got to learn to give them a little bit of love and a little bit of caring, but
gotta be
also
firm.
some discipline. So hi, Dally Talk. So we have so Kim says some couples need support and some just don't even need to be together. It is a difference. Dally says some schools are starting to offer entrepreneurship courses. Oh, that's great. Well, please let me know which schools, because they really need that.
Yeah.
Kim, you can't teach kids what you don't know. Kids raising kids.
Right.
That is true.
You know what affects the home too? That majority of the parents are not up to date with, you know, with electronics or the phone. Like, you got old school people, and so if they don't even, like my father, a perfect example, my real father, he dropped out of school at 3rd grade because when my grandmother died, he had to work.
Mm-hmm.
So they all work. Like, they were, I think, like 11 siblings in the house, and they all had to work. So that's a perfect example, because then they get older, they only start learning what they learned by trade. My father became good what he did because some old guy decided to teach him how to be a mechanic, and then from there he became a body mechanic, and he was just so good at it, he opened his own business doing that in the city. So that's another thing I always keep in consideration, that we can't really, the problem with the school system is that they always put it on the students, on the kids, to try to figure out what's going on at home, or well, you need to tell your mother this, or you need to, like, are you crazy? If I was to tell my mother, Ma, you got to do this, she's gonna be like, oh yeah, who said that? Well,
You know
where's
what I think is missing?
I'm gonna go to her house.
You know what I think that's missing in the school systems, honestly, is that they focus so much on the kids that are doing good,
right?
rather than how can we help the kids that are not.
And that's
And a lot of the times the kids that are not doing, quote unquote, the best, the way that they want them to, it's not that they're not educated. It's not that they're not smart or they can't get
they're not given a chance. They're not given a chance.
They're not given a chance, and everybody's learning is different. Everybody's learning way different. And a lot of times with the teachers, and I've experienced this, I've seen it. If the teachers don't, like, the teachers are looking for a kid to just automatically get it and be kind and do this, like, get to know, they're not taking the time to get to know their students.
And you know what it is?
Schools are overcrowded too. You know, they have like one teacher with like 30 kids in it.
But the problem is that the teachers forget why they became a teacher. Because a lot of them, they love the thought of teaching. And then somewhere around there, they lost sight as why they became a teacher. You know, they're the first one to teach us something it's what the teachers teach us is a life-giving thing. There's something that we can't repay them back with, you know, and then the miserable pay that they get it's not even worth it. But this is what happens. A lot of the teachers forget why they're doing what they're doing, and then they get rebellion, and then they're dealing with certain individuals that they don't know how to handle. And then when the school system fails the teacher, now the teacher becomes bitter with the students and don't want to do nothing. And they're like, well, I don't care. I'm sitting here. I'm getting paid either way. You want to show up to class, you show up. If not, oh well, that's on you.
So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna like some of these comments that we have in, and then I want you to talk to me after we're done with these comments. I'm gonna talk a little bit exactly about what does Compel America, what is their main focus? How did you become an ambassador? So real quick, Dally says it becomes a matter of survival to bully others. Some kids are bullied so much at home or somewhere else that they think it's normal part of life. So they bully others. That is so true, Dally. So true. I saw that, Danny. No, Danny says, knowing Jose growing up in Middletown, he is a compassionate truth speaker. Many times he's told me what I didn't want to hear, but I realized it was a message of opportunity to better myself. Much love. What's up, Danny? Hi, Auntie Connie. So true. Getting to the root of why the bullying is bullying. Hey, Allie. Hey, Boo. So yes, it's very, very important. I think Okay, so I want to just say this before we talk about Compel America.
All right.
Is that a lot of times we continue to say, right? It starts at home. It starts at home. But not everyone has a home. Just because there's a roof over their head, or there's a mother, or there's a mother and a father, or whatever, that doesn't mean a home. People do not make a home. A house or an apartment does not make a home.
Right.
What makes a home is love, compassion, is not money doesn't make a home. The love that is surrounded, that the kids, what is the kids learning in the home? What, not just educational, about life experiences, all of that right there makes it a home. Like, I still hug and kiss my kids to this day. My oldest is 23, like it's just showing them that, I may not have everything financially to give you, but if I can't give you nothing else, I'm going to give you love and affection, my attention, my compassion, even though when I'm wrong, I'll be like, you know what? I'm sorry. I was wrong. Admitting
but
that.
But you got to keep in mind, not too many people are built that way. You have that mentality, which is great. And that's and it's a blessing for your children. But unfortunately, some kids don't go through that because they never knew what love is. So it's hard for parents to give love to a child that never been loved.
So okay, I think that's true. But then again, like, I didn't grow up with the love in my home. I didn't. Right. But I knew in my mind and in my heart what I experienced, I don't want my children to go through. I was abused sexually. I was abused physically, mentally, emotionally as a kid. I didn't, when I had kids, I was like, I don't want my kids to feel that hurt and pain, that I felt. Desi says, kids learn from the parents. It all starts at home. See, we say that it starts at home, but we got to remember, not all kids have a home. No. So it does start at home, but then this is the problem that I feel. Suki says the funds has been taken out of the schools, prayer, and no discipline at home because parents are too busy working 2 jobs or letting YouTube raise their kids. It's true, guys, but let me just say this. Remember, and I don't know, Jose, if you went through this, right? But growing up, it wasn't just my mother that was there. My mother wasn't there the way that she should have been. At certain points in my life, she was. Certain parts of my life, she wasn't. Right. But we lived in Minnesota. And I would never forget, it was a lady next door. Oh my God, I always think of her name. And right now I'm forgetting it. But we lived in Minnesota. And she took care of us. My mother would be gone for a whole week. She made sure we ate. She made sure our clothes was washed. She made sure we went to school. So it takes a village to raise a kid. For me, if I see that my next door neighbor is slacking, or I see that their kids is not eating, or their clothes is whatever, it's not my, the parent could say, get out of here. But guess what? I want to know that I made an attempt. Like, hey, you guys want to come over and have lunch and eat? You know what I mean? I'm not trying to be in business, but I want to be I'm there to help as a community. You don't do that.
Right. And I understand that, which is true. But at the end of the day, though, that probably was good back then. Maybe not. Now it's a lot different because of everything that takes place. So let's say, God forbid, if you then reach out to be helpful to a child, and then that child already, for some strange reason, gets rebellion because he's now feeling envious because of the fact that this friend of him, the parent's so nice to him, that now he starts to say things that are not true. I say this because I experienced that. Like you try to reach out and now all of a sudden you got CPS knocking in your door through all this investigation because this kid is trying to call out for help, but went about it the wrong way. And then now puts that family that's trying to reach out to have them come home to their house so they can get fed. It takes it to a whole different avenue.
I get what you're saying.
It's a balance, which is good. What you do is nice, so I'm the same way too, but I also because I'm an officer, So I think in the
Oh,
law
we're gonna talk
enforcement
about that.
aspect, I think in the law enforcement aspect, because what you think is good, it might not be good to others. And so whenever I do something, I ask myself, if this crap's gonna get me jammed up, or if this guy's gonna come up with something, or this girl's gonna say, I'm very cautious for the fact that I
Mhm.
I know how the system works. And so at the end of the day, the last thing you need is something like that.
No,
Like
I
first,
totally get it because that's what my husband, when the girls like, so we had some issues with my daughter's friends sleeping on the park bench. The parents kicked them out. 14 years old, 16 years
right,
old. You know, no. I'm listening to the parents saying, "I hope you get raped" and all of that stuff. Talking to the
right, right,
kids.
right, 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 right.
So they came here and I had to make sure because you're right. Like I'm like, I don't want nobody kids going back saying
Uh,
anything, you know,
yeah,
happy because I have a son as well who's an adult. So what I and it's sad because you're stuck between a rock and a hard place.
right. It's
You want to
catch
help, but
22.
then you don't want all the any type of false allegations, you
Right.
know,
Because then
being
there's an inconvenience to the
said.
whole entire family. Because then it's like, dude, like I was trying to reach out to help you, but now you put me under the bus, and so now that cripples everything. Because then
I
when
get
the
it,
town
yeah.
starts seeing this, they start being like, man, should I really start helping people? Even though we're saying no, not everybody's the same. You still can reach out and help out. You can do certain things, but kids be like, no, because that's the issue now. The problem is when the system fails you, then what? That's the problem right there. It's really not the home. Who cares? Like the house is a house. I could be living in a corner and that's my home.
Yeah.
That's you know what I'm saying? So what really matters is who's helping you and who's not helping you. And those that need to be helping you are not helping you. So when you're
So
thinking
true.
about the system, they really don't do a damn thing for nobody.
No, the system don't. I think also too, making sure that we know the resources that are in our community that is
Right.
very helpful. If you are a person who, you know, who don't mind helping, who wants like myself and Jose, I know my Aunt Kim is that way.
Right.
She's big with helping her community. And if any of you on here watching and it's like that, make sure that you reach out to your community and you know the resources that are available so you don't get stuck in a situation
Right.
and you know that you tried to help out the best way. Because I let them
Right.
stay that day, and then the next, because it was like midnight, you know, I wasn't gonna let them sleep on a park bench another night. And
Right.
so I said, you know, but then the next day, you know, we're gonna have to call social services and we're gonna have to figure out what we can
Right.
do to help you because I can't just let random children stay, you know, weeks, you know, or just live
Right.
here. I wish that I could, but and we can't do that, unfortunately. But
Mm-hmm.
I totally get it. I'm gonna go back to a few of the comments because they're scrolling up.
Right.
So Desi says, I was grateful to have good parents. And that's great because a lot of kids don't, unfortunately. I was definitely one. I used to, Kim says, I used to love my teachers. These teachers are scared of their students because, like Santa says, they don't get to know their students. It's just a way to get a check now. Shaking my head. Kids are losing out. I always gave and give my students compassion and hugs and always make them laugh and smile before they leave my company. And that is very important. He's not the principal. This was his last year, unfortunately, at the high school here. But every day, rain, sleet, shine. I mean, he was outside shaking every kid's hand that came into school every single day. And unfortunately, he's not the principal anymore, but a great, great man, role model. He got himself involved, and that stuff, type of stuff, is very important.
Yeah, and that's what the school system is lacking. They're lacking someone because for me, I'm just this is me though. How I am, and whoever I have under me or whoever's with me, is an indication of who I am as a person. So as a leader, I need to make sure that I'm on top of my game, and what I say has to go. So if I'm going to talk the talk, I'm going to do the walk. So
Mhm.
things that because then a principal is accountable for what takes place in school. You normally hear like, oh, well, how come she's not like that? And then that's the problem. When the principal don't check the teachers that are out of pocket, that's not good because then they start saying, well, you're allowing this. And they're like, well, I can't be in two places at the same time.
Leading by example is very important too, and knowing that as
That dictates who they are. So if the principal don't care,
then the teachers are not.
right. So and then when they see that the principal is interacting, whether they want to be fake or not, who cares? At least they're making the effort to do whatever it is, just to do that first step, and that's what matters. Because then teachers are like little kids. You know, adults too are like kids. They see somebody doing something. Those that don't have that, they lack leadership and they followers. That's what they do. So if they see someone doing something, they're gonna mimic the same behavior. And
Do
so,
you think that we're missing? Because I feel this way. I think that we're missing a lot of Black and Hispanic teachers in our school system. A lot of male teachers in our school system, because it's easier when people can kind of relate. Like, so this principal, for an example, was a Black male, and Mr. Mickens, I gotta give him a shout out because he's an amazing principal. And what I loved about him is that he will talk about how he came from, you know, not the best upbringing, you know, like he ran the streets and, you know,
right.
he did this and look what you can accomplish. Like, don't let, you know, yeah, you do it, but at some, so it was like, he wasn't just a principal, like, yeah, you know, it's me. Like, you know, I'm the
I got you. He became transparent. He became someone that really cared. That's being authentic. When you say, you know, when somebody's being genuine, like real, like they really care about what they do. You know, a position like that is not given to you. You got to earn it.
But do you think that we're missing Black and Hispanic teachers in our schools?
We are, but at the same token, is a scary thing for the fact that with everything that goes on with, you got a lot of, yeah. Again, I fall back to what I witnessed and what I lived, and I've seen a lot of guys, for some apparent reason, you know, they go to school, they teaching, but some of these dudes, you know, they drop good-looking dudes. They regular human, you know, they're teaching and the girls get all crazy, and that's what starts crap. So when the teacher becomes too comfortable and too complacent, and they just really there to really help, now you have a problem because you got to learn how to distinguish what's safe and not safe. So if you're gonna be with a student, you'll make sure there's gonna be a whole bunch of damn people in there, even an adult. So why I'm saying that is because what tarnishes that is that whatever taking place at home with some of these kids or wherever they're going on, not at home in general, but it can be just in the social media, whatever, they somehow don't know how to come across and they take things in the wrong context. So if I'm being nice to someone, it's because I care and I love what I do and my passion is to really see people succeed. Some individuals might take it as a sign, he likes me, or he's trying to come on to me, or he's trying to do something, as opposed to really being open-minded and say, oh, actually, this teacher really want to help me. So that there, again, I go back to that, it is a balance. And it's depending where you live at. So if you're in the city, I don't know, up here where I'm in the countries, they're lacking everything, period. It's like they so behind a lot of things. But at the same
that
time,
goes back to like what Suki said when she said that, you know, the fundings are, and it's sad because it's taken out of a lot of the urban areas. You know, right. I remember home economics, sewing class, you know, we had so much of that. And it was just such a great thing because, to be honest with you, that's when I knew that my passion was cooking. Like my dad is Dominican. He could cook his ass off, okay? He could cook his ass off, you know? And then, so I learned a little bit from him. My grandmother on my mother's side was an amazing cook. So it's in my blood, you know? It's in my bloodline. But I didn't realize that I really enjoyed it until I got into doing home economics. Now, that's when I lived in Old Bridge. But school prior to that didn't have it. And at that time, it was a majority Caucasian school. It was more of a white, you know, area of a school system. So they had home economics, wood shop. You know, that's when I learned to make my first birdhouse. And I was souped up that I did it. You know, I was like, oh, yeah, I could do this. I could cut and sew, you know. they don't have all of those. You know, I enjoyed sewing, not too much right now, but then, you know, I'm making pillowcases and stuff, you know, they don't have that. And I think that maybe it's just so hard because we have to work so much, because I've always thought about volunteering and doing it at the school, like starting a home economics class, you know, getting parents together to see if after school, if we can do this free of charge, even if it's for an hour or two, you know, nothing crazy, or maybe every Thursday. So I guess it really just comes together and having a whole community to kind of help out. Okay, well, sorry, we got some more comments. So Desi says, if a child is raised by the system, then it's the system's job to see that kids are provide the correct resources, and the system needs to background check the families they are placing these children in. That is so, so true. Kim says, Belinda and Maria was great neighbors on Storms Avenue. They were. I remember. Yes, I do. Kim says, yes, because these young girls dressing too sexy going to school, and some attention can be misread. And Suki says, teachers are using their own money to buy some kids focus on education. Focus is off because it's fashionable now. That's really true, because my daughter's teacher, years ago in this community, didn't have, they had to provide it. So at the time, me and my husband went to Staples and got her like boxes of paper. We did that each school year. Boxes of papers, pencils, pens, crayon, whatever they needed. And every of the school year, we would drop it off to the teachers to, you know, say, here you go.
Well, that's fortunately, I never had the opportunity. For the fact that when I was 9, I had already was repeating 3rd grade twice. I failed 1st grade, I failed 2nd grade, I failed 3rd grade. And at that time is when my mother decided to leave my dad, and we ended up in Middletown. And it took an act of a kindness from the teacher, Miss Perez, in my 3rd grade class, to call me up at the desk. And then she calls me and tells me, hey, Jose, come over here. I need to talk to you. And then so she starts to talk, and she starts doing this. I'm doing this. Like, what the hell is she doing? And so I'm trying to like, well, what is she doing? So she said, no, that's okay, Jose. Just go back, sit down. And she did a letter and made sure that I gave it to my mother when I got home. So it was like this big damn envelope. And so I gave it to my mother. And then finding out down the road, probably I think like 2 days later, I ended up going to the doctors. And I had to go to an audiologist. And in there, I never saw my mother cry so much. What that teacher did for me turned everything around in my house for the better. My mother started to be the mom that I always craved to be. Because what ended up happening was that the doctor had told her that I'm deaf in one ear and moderately lost on the other. And so then now explain why when she tried to talk to me from this side or wherever the hell she was at, and I didn't hear her, so she thought I was just ignoring her, and then there goes a beating. And so that's what started that. And so she always started comparing me with my father, beating me down. And so that's that. So it was great. That was like, all right, finally. So it's nothing for me, right? But now the flip side to it became a damn nightmare for my life. Not at home. See, and school was the place I was feeling safe, and I was feeling happy because I was having drama at home, getting beat up. And now the lady discovers this problem that now we have a solution. Now it flips. I'm happy being home. Now I go to school. I hate being in school. Because what ended up happening was they pulled me out of mainstream and they put me in a handicap class. So trying to adjust to a class, and I'm watching kids doing what you're doing, wood shop and all that. And meanwhile, because I'm in a handicap class, I guess I don't qualify to get those shops. So I would sit in that damn class through the whole day, listening to nothing but banging and noises. I didn't know sign language, and my teacher was deaf, and the kids were deaf, and I was having a major headache, and I was becoming a real son of a gun. Because now I'm like, why the hell am I in here? I can hear you. Like, what's the problem? Like, why the hell would you take me out of the class and put me now in this damn class? And so I started building up so much hatred to everyone that was handicapped because I was so pissed. because now it's good at home. Now I don't even want to be in school because I'm wearing I'm wearing this as a hearing aid. Like that's my hearing aid. Back in the day, they were so huge. It wasn't nothing like you couldn't hide a damn thing. So you like you had a VHS stuck in your ear. And so kids will be busting on me, and they're like, "Oh, hey, hello, 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 can you hear me?" And they start making echo noises, and I had to deal with that bullying. That's when that really started. The time that they discovered that I was hearing impaired, all hell broke loose. So I went through my whole entire life, really, really going through hell. And the bad part was my mother became an awesome mom, but she didn't know how to interact when there was a PTA meeting, or my teacher would be like, "Hey, how come your mom didn't come?" I don't know. She ain't coming. Well, we send her a letter. Well, force her to come.
Why do you ask the kids that? Like the kids know. Huh? I said, why don't we ask the kids that? Like, ask the parents. What's the kids supposed to say?
That's the problem with the school. They still do that. Like, we have to be holding up.
They do still do that.
I'm like, what? That's why I said my mom is what? She's 5'10". But when she get mad, she could be 7'10". Like I'm messing with her, you know. So and it was like, I'll tell Mom, they want you to the school. Like, hey, like I got at home, blah blah, and she'll be going crazy, like cursing at me. I'm like, yo, don't kill the messenger. I'm only telling you what the hell the teacher wants you to do. You're not responding. And she was like, well, I don't care. She got an issue. Well, she can come here and visit me. I'm not going to the damn school. And so that's what I had to deal with. And then so that was that. So that's why I say you're fortunate that you had that in your life, because that's why I say I had to go against what you're saying, because I never had the privilege to build a house or do any clay.
But let me tell you though, I didn't have that support from home. I didn't have any support from home at all. I was dealing with, that was my way of dealing with the sexual abuse that was going on home.
Right.
You know, so I was going through.
Well, you're lucky that at least in your school you were able to get plugged into that. You know, so like because you're being tormented physically and mentally and emotionally. The school system doesn't really look at it as a handicap situation. You know what I'm saying? So it helped you out in that way, which it didn't. But but it kind of gave you somewhat a leverage to at least keep your mind off for 5 minutes doing a project without thinking about whatever it is that happened in your life, and then now you're back to square one. So again, you have kids that are going through the same thing you're going through.
Yeah, along what I was looking to going home to, if that makes sense. Right. Like, trust me, we didn't have the clothes. People don't know this, but here it is. But we were getting clothes from the dumpsters. I don't know, like the clothes that you put the things that you put the clothes in. Right. That's how we were getting clothes. So. I mean, the good thing is that we go through all of that, and it builds character. It really made us to, go through life. We had some hardships, some people don't survive hardships.
Right.
Mentally, they go crazy.
The way I look at it, adversity creates who you are. Without adversity, we won't be who we are. The adversity should be our platform.
Mm-hmm.
Not the good things, not all the other things. I usually tell people that you take your stumbling stone, you create a stepping stone into it.
Yes, yes.
That's what makes you who you are. Because if you don't, it's like saying, if there was no bad, then what good is good?
Mm-hmm.
How will you know what good is if you don't go through some tribulation in your life? And that creates who you are as a person. So that makes you know, okay, I can endure this. I didn't like it. I didn't enjoy it. However, I'm going to make sure and be conscious about this, and then going to go move forward with this. I'm going to press forward on this life, and then not, and take this to the next level. So not have to sit here. And what happens is a lot of us, we get so caught up emotionally that we don't realize that the things that are taking place it works two ways. It's a blessing and it's a lesson.
Yeah, it's a blessing. Do you feel though, like mentally though, like, it's certain things that haunts you throughout your time of growing, like I'm older now in my 40s, and there's times, I'll feel like I'm back at that little 6-year-old girl again, if that makes sense,
No, I've gone through the same. I've gone through the same similar thing. But it's hard, because again, it's like you're only one you. I'm only one me. So how I can give a whole bunch of advice or anything to help that person, but at the end of the day, it really starts with that person. They have to take that mind change and really
And want to really
pull
make
out.
a change.
Right. They have to do it. It's like trying to say, I'm walking the street and I see a drunk guy and I say, hey, listen, come on, I'm gonna help you get sober. And you're gonna look at me like, okay, then give me a dollar. You know, it's like ready. You can't help those that are not willing to help themselves.
That's true.
Just bottom line. That's what anything you do in life. And so with that said, yeah, we go through those challenges and again, it took me a while before I started realizing what I was going through in life had a purpose. And so that's where I do now. So I chase the purpose. I don't chase the money. I don't chase anything else. I chase what makes me get up, what makes me motivate myself to go into that because I still have to live that life, which is
Mhm.
crazy. I don't know if it makes sense. In order for me to help anyone, I had to still be living that life still to this day.
So one thing I want to say, we're going to read these comments. We're going to take a break, but I really, really want to talk about two things when we come back. Okay. And that is how you got involved with, once again,
With Compel.
Compel. I really want to talk about that because I was on their site and I see that they deal with so many different things when it comes to the youth.
Right.
And I love what you're doing, how you became an ambassador with Compel America. And then I also want to talk about your profession, what you do, and a little bit about the racism that men experience, because a lot of times we ignore that what happens with our men, what happens with our men, you know what I mean? So so those are the two things we're going to talk about. I'm going to read these comments. We're going to go for a little quick break, and then we're going to come back and we're going to discuss those two things. So real quick, Desi says we can also get with our leaders to change the laws and change what is needed for social workers to start placing children in good homes. Kim says pay close attention to your students. There's always something a mom may miss if she's stressed out. Very true. Kim says, I'm so sorry you went through that, Jose. It's people like that. It's people like that make the best teachers later, most of the time. It's why I love to teach. No one taught me anything. Desi says the schools should have a social worker in them, not just guidance counselors. Totally agree with that. Like, totally agree. Kim says, my poor sister was lost. So you turned out to be a beautiful, intelligent woman. I'm proud of you. Thank you. I love you. Desi says, schools should start programs to teach young boys and girls on how to become men and women, have resources that would teach them ways to conduct themselves. And Kim says, oh, I'm so sorry your abuse, mommy. We both got abused and you made me strong because I saw that you made it through. So today we stand for change. You keep doing what you do. I love you. I love you too. I love you. I love you. So guys, we're going to take a quick break. Right. So I'm going to introduce this artist real quick because I'm so proud to announce. So this is my nephew. So I want to just let you guys know this is a collaboration between two upcoming New Jersey artists, Killer KC and Eli the God. The track is quickly racking up streams on both SoundCloud and YouTube. Check out the video. Eli the God, that is my nephew. I am so proud of you. We are going to play this real quick, and then we're going to go for a quick break and come back, talk with Jose about Compel America and what he does for a living and how racism actually happens, in his life. So that's important because there's a lot that's going on today. So let's play some beats for a little bit. Excuse the curses, guys. Why is it not playing?
Riding in a Tesla make me feel like I'm advanced. Don't forget your man. You can. Yeah. I ain't even playing that either. Cut them up like scissor hands. Look, bitch, my name ain't Edward, but I'm cutting all your plans. Riding in a Tesla make me feel like I'm advanced. Don't forget your man. You can't get no love. You ain't in a plan. It's a cult, yeah, this a clan. Hang you by your neck and show you what the master plan. Feel like Malcolm X, we smoking smoke, so what you saying? Bitch, you steady playing. Niggas love these raps. Let's go. Never kept the hand. 100, that's facts. Playing like cat in a hat. I got your bitch on the mat. 4 balls and they all intact. Playing this shit like she running in track. I got a method. Watch how it work. Throwing these bands. Watch how she twerk. So much ass I went berserk. Whoa. Blew my mind. She from a church. I'm about to get in the service. Little bitch making me nervous. You was a virgin, I should've knew this before the excursion. You are the young nigga out here just splurging. Bitches is hitting my wall when I'm purging. I'ma just hit it. Watch how young nigga split it. Watch how young nigga get it. Run into the back, no fit it. Run into the back, no gimmick. I don't play around, I'm with it. Pop outside all black, do you know young nigga try to score up digits? And my liver bad is designer. I've been sipping on the purple, get me higher. And I'm flying on these bitches like a flyer. Peep my swag, know you hate, it's your desire. Cut them up like scissor hands. Bitch, my name ain't Edward, but I'm cutting all your plans. Riding in a Tesla make me feel like I'm in vain. Don't forget your man. Don't forget to get no love. Nah, you ain't in the plan. Yes, a cult, yeah, this a clan. Okay, let's get you by your neck and show you what the master plan. Bitch, feel like Malcolm X. We smoking smoke, so what you saying, bitch? Bitch, you steady playing. Steady playing. Love these rats. Love these rats. Never fight the hand. Like the hand. Shit.
All right, guys, we are back. I'm sorry. You know what? All right, guys. Let me just say this. I'm so sorry. I be forgetting to switch the mic part. Sorry. I got to remember that. I need to put a sticky note on my thing and just be like, don't forget to turn the mic thing on. Okay. Anyway, I got to say this to y'all. I love myself. I'm not a sweet eater. And I'm not, but I'm a Starbucks girl. But one thing I love about Dunkin' Donuts is when they got them pumpkins. So, yeah, cheers.
All right.
I'm the pumpkin eater. The pumpkin eater. I love this. So, don't mind me.
They become addictive. Wow.
This pumpkin, God, it's so delicious. But it's the fat girl in me that just love to eat food. I should be like 500 pounds by now, but I love the food. I love to eat. I'm an eater. So yeah, guys. So check it out on Facebook. Saturday Brunch with Santa. I do have that video up. I do have the song. I'm gonna post some more of his songs. If you're an artist, R&B, rap, whatever, classical, I'm an open ear for music. Just send it to me and I will look forward to just playing it. So that's one thing. Go on Saturday Brunch with Santa. Please go subscribe on YouTube. Also press forward is also on YouTube and on Instagram. Saturday Brunch with Santa on Facebook and Instagram as well. So go check us out, y'all. So real quick, welcome back. So again, share. So Morales, let's talk about Compel America, because we talked about, suicide from growing up. We talked about, abuse. We talked about bullying in the school systems and how can we change that. So now let's talk about exactly what it is that you do with Compel America. Let's talk about Compel America. What is it first for those who don't know, and how did you become an ambassador?
Compel America is an organization it's created to help people that have been through that have been preyed on in their life, that have been abused, that have been bullied, intimidated, harassed, mobile device, you name it, anything that has to do with someone's getting invaded in a way. That's what you want to call it, because we're being invaded in an area where you're not called to be in. So and so then what they do is they actually approach things differently. Rather than helping the victim, we do help victims, but we also try to hit the source by trying to get to the bully. Because if you're only helping the victim but you're not helping the bully, it's still going to continue. So we have a lot of organizations out there that they do is they help out the victims, but then that doesn't stop the problem. That doesn't even resolve the problem. So what we then, what was unique about this place is that they hit an area aspect of this. They go out there and they deal with the youth. I'm pretty much brought out. I deal with even adults. Doesn't matter. I don't have an age preference. I help whoever needs to get help. But the good thing about this place is that they have all these celebrities, all these genuine people. Some are not celebrities, some are just regular, average people that have been through a lot, and they experience and they able to put something on the table to transform and help others to pave their way in life, so to speak, and bring them back to society, bring them back to life, and so on. And that's what we, that's pretty much what they deal with. And they deal with helping with past toxic is a word that we were using too. So they recognize the toxic behavior that they're exhibiting, and then they make a change on it. So they really they approach to these different aspects. Like you said, abuse comes in all different shapes and sizes. So it's not only if you're getting physically abused, because even like cyberbully, nobody's touching you, but they're mentally tormenting person. And then that decreases their confidence, their behavior, along with whatever is taking place at home. And so this is what makes it so unique about this place, that we go out there, we actually initiate to go out there and help. We don't just try to put up a name to make it all fluffy and make it all pretty. I'm not one for that. I'm a true believer. Someone that really does. What really made me want to be involved with this was, if they think the way I do, then I want to be part of it. So if it's real and they're authentic and they know what they, you got these people that are running this place are not just trying to make a name for themselves. They couldn't care less. They actually out there doing their part, helping one way or another. Like whether whatever it is, they will actually hit that target. In other words, like our mission is to execute the problem. Like if you don't resolve the problem, then it's always gonna be there. It's not like something you wanna you put a Band-Aid on it on a cut, but then you need stitches. But then you take it off, it's gonna still be there. It ain't going anywhere. And so
Mm-hmm.
that's much what trying to help people heal. And how do we heal them? And how do we approach the matter? Because everyone has a different approach due to what they have gone through.
Do you do it's so it's not just for youth, it's for adults as well.
Yes, I do for the adults as well. They do anyone. We have youth, like the hotline that right now you're seeing the domestic under your board there and all that. That's actually from our division from the organization. They put this out there, and so that way, if anyone needs help or anyone needs to talk to someone, please feel free to call those lines.
When we get a chance, can you put the website up as well, Jose? So we can also, in the comments, if you could just put the website up as well. Because when I looked at the website, it was amazing.
They go on my Instagram. Everything is on there. If they go on Facebook, I have it advertised as well. Or you can go directly to the webpage, CompelAmerica.org. And when you click on it, it gives you resources of all things that it has, of what we deal with, and how do we help, and how we kind of come up with strategic plans to try to help, and do what we can in our part. And they have a list of ambassadors. You'll see a whole bunch of celebrities. They're not just there for shows. They're not there to try to be like, well, I'm a celebrity. These are individuals that went through a crisis or an abuse of some type of way or shape or form, that they're now speaking up because they're in a position to really do something because people hear. And so, and then that's what's good about doing that. So you go on and you're gonna see all the ambassadors. You got UFC fighters, you got football players on there, got wrestlers on there, motivator, speaker, author like myself, and so you have all a mix of variety of people that's involved in this. So that's what makes it unique. It's not like everybody's doing the same damn thing. It's like everyone has something different to put in the table. So that's what makes it unique.
And is there like so if anyone wanted to donate to Compel America,
it can go right on Compel America, and it has everything that it talks about. You go on the homepage, or you can go on our people. It shows you all the ambassadors, the events that's taking place. They do like lobby change, tech, news, or getting in touch, and they have all these resources. Whatever you need on it, they actually have a link where then you can it'll direct you to where you want to do. If you want to be a part of it, by all means, feel free to reach out, and they'll be more receptive and open to hearing what other people have to do. Again, this is not all about us. It's about the community. It's about the people and the youth, and trying to make sure that we reinforce and we become that voice and the image as well, for those that can't speak up for themselves.
Is this for any state, or is this just in New York?
This is across states. So we pretty much branching out everywhere. So anyone that calls or whatever it is, there will be more to give you more of an idea walk of where they can get you the help. And so again, like you just go right on it, directly on this site, or you can go on mine. You just follow whatever the diagram that they have, and they will be able to give you more information. I don't work behind the office, so I know that they have all different things going on every time. So like they have these different events. You have a awesome lady, Cheryl. She's from Rockabella. She does the bottle vodkas and all this stuff, but there's a purpose behind it, for falling firefighters and all this. But you have all these different individuals that actually collaborating will Compel, in all different phases. So that's what makes it unique. That's what made me I love the thought of being part of it, for that case that they believe in something I believe in.
Dally wants to know, what are the donations used for?
I don't know about the donation on that. Again, you have to go on the site. I don't, that's like more of a human resources. I'm not that guy, so I would not know, but definitely they will give you an answer, and they'll give you the direction that you need. So anything that you need to know about that organization, you can go on it. I know that what we do is different varieties of how we participate with the organization.
So let me ask you a question, because I went on there and I saw like you guys are like just pretty much helping the. I saw a lot of like helping the youth, like
Yeah.
I guess with school education,
Right.
with whatever their needs may be, feeding them. So I know you guys do that. So.
Yeah.
We're going to be putting that information up, because I feel like we focus on, and I work with nonprofits all the time. What I told you, like I do the wine, and we work with nonprofits selling wine to give back to multiple nonprofits. So what I do, what I like is that that bothers me, I should say, is that we focus a lot on like these big charities and nonprofits, and yet we have the ones that are really working within the community that can really use those same donations as well. So I want to put that up later on my page as well, so you guys can take a look at it. And every bit helps. Even if it's $10, $20, it's
like again, even the smallest thing, even gestures or doing something. It's not about the money. I mean,
just posting it, letting people know about the resources.
But the resources is usually for helping out those that are affected by this, whether they being the one being to them or not to them. So it's an awesome organization that what they're doing.
So Compel America, guys, go check it out. Check the website out. If you would like to donate, great. Share. These hotlines, the suicide hotline is scrolling. That's 1-800-273-TALK. The Trevor Project for the LGBTQ community, 1-866-488-7386. And then also the domestic violence hotline, 1-800-799-7233. Write those numbers down. Share it with people. You just never know who needs it. A lot of times people are hurting and dealing with things in private, and they don't realize that the help is really there. Just making the attempt just to pick up the phone and call. And sometimes a person don't want to do that. They're embarrassed. I was in a domestic violence relationship myself. And it took me a while to get out of it. You know what I mean? And I knew that I needed to. And I just, there's hotlines, but sometimes you just feel embarrassed. And, because remember, you're already being mentally abused and feeling belittled. So to get that courage to call, why don't if you know someone who's going through it, call yourself, get the information and say, here, I called, I got the information. If you ever, I'm here for you, here you go. Same thing with the, the Trevor Project. A lot of times the youth is going through that. Don't make judgments on someone else's sexuality. Reach out. These kids are committing suicide. You can agree with it. You could disagree with it. But guess what? At the end of the day, it's not your life. And if you disagree with it, still help. It's there's a lot of things that you've done that people don't agree with. You know what I mean?
No, and it's true, because the problem is that we tend to forget that nowadays our youth that are growing up, they're going through identity crisis, and they're trying to figure out who they are, where they're at, why they're here, what is the purpose, what is my function here, am I really someone that's worth making a difference or doing something? So this is something that people need to be aware of, because back in the time, you didn't really think much of it. Now it seems that it's getting more progressive, and because they have more access to the social media, pretty much. So any electronics and stuff like that, they then decide to get into sites that it's not even for them, or because they're trying to find a purpose or some answer, and half of the time they get the wrong answer for someone. So it's essential that we pass on these information. Whether I always said that when I go usually speak at events, and there'll be 100, 500, 1,000 people when I talked in the church and stuff like that. I didn't care. I learned that whatever I have to give out, it's never for everyone. If it's for one person, if I can change one person's life, I couldn't care less what the hell anybody else thinks. That now I know I was here and I did my purpose and I served my mission and I move on to the next thing. And that's how I operate. I don't, at one point I was so consumed and like trying to please everybody, but at the end of the day, we're wasting our time trying to do that.
Your mission in life, a lot of people, and like I look back and I'm like, wow, went through all of this in life. But I'm so grateful that I survived, I made it, and I became now. And a lot of times I want to tell people this: if you've been through anything in life, don't hold back on it. Share it. And the reason why I say that is because you don't know, in sharing your testimony and sharing your life experiences, if you help, like you said, 1,000 people can hear you, but if you saved one life, you lived your purpose. You did
right, and that's what matters. That's what matters.
Yeah, so that's really important. So, guys, check out Compel America. Just see the amazing, great things they're doing. Like I said, take these numbers down, help someone. Everybody deals with everything differently. Just make sure, though, that you just let people know we got to love one each other a little bit more. We have to respect each other more. Respect is missing. We're being more judgmental instead of realizing and recognizing that, each individual is different. If this world was made up of the same people, this would be one boring world that we live in. So just keep loving and respecting each other's opinions, respecting and loving the fact that we are different, from skin color to religion to sexual preference to, whatever it may be, But real quick, so let's talk about your job, if you don't mind. You can share what you want to share, but let's just talk about it a little something. So, I do want to thank you also, Jose, from, like Kim says, you matter, Jose. You matter. You see, you matter.
Thank you. It's about time.
Yeah, you know what it is? You know what it is? Just saying that I've been through hell. I've been through some ish, and guess what? This is where I'm at today. Now, let me take those lemons that was thrown at me in life, and let me make some good ass lemonade. Now you're teaching others how to take those rotten lemons that was thrown at them and how to make, some lemonade. So let's talk a little bit, like I said, about your job. If you don't mind, you can share whatever you please to share. Whatever you want.
I work for the Department of Justice at the Federal Bureau of Prison. My title there is I'm a federal law enforcement. It used to be corrections, but when Obama took place, he had changed the title for us to do that. At one point, we were doing a cut for the U.S. Marshals, Air Marshals, all these different organizations that worked under the Bureau. And what ended up happening was we're already doing that. And so because we're already doing that, they figure why not change the title to our work? Because what we do is we do enforce the law. That's our job. We make sure that all the guidelines are met for the state, county, or government. And so said that, that's the environment I work. So that's my job right there. So
that's what he does. That's his job. But
I won't say the location I'm at. I can't say the location.
No, he's not going to say no location. We're not doing that. But
I'll be like, oh yeah, I know this guy. Man, he look familiar. I'll be like, oh crap. But
yeah, no, we're not going to do that. We're not here to bash.
Yeah, the great thing about the job, which is crazy, because when I was young, throughout my life, my father was in and out of Rikers Island. And so I'm a son of a prisoner. Fast forward, now I'm working in the opposite side of the fence. And it was crazy because in there is where I actually started getting more structure of who I am, what was my mission, what was my purpose. It all started there because in 2000 I worked as a counselor for the juvenile detention, and I worked like it was a group home setting. These are kids that are placed there by the system, and what they were doing there was just waiting on a hearing on pending whether they eligible to go back home, and would they meet the criteria of making sure that they gonna fit back to society. And so my job was to make sure that they get back in that path, going to school, whether they were there for rehab, for drugs, I mean, and then get them into rehab. So we were more like we were responsible for making sure that everything happened, and that they get the help. The crazy thing was that in 2004 I left and I went to West Point to work as a force protection unit, which we're dealing with the entry of the installation of the military base, working as a bomb unit, so making sure that nobody brings in any bomb or any
Oh, wow.
inside the installation of the military base. But when I left, in the group home, the kids were there only up to the 18 years old. Some of them actually had to go to the big house. I'd always question myself, whatever happened to these kids now that the system still has them wrapped up? Because some of them went home, and the majority of them had to go to the big house. They still had time to serve. I mean, they were like kind of lucked out that they was with us in a house environment, a group home, but now their time is up. Now they got to deal with the big boys. So it used to make me wonder. Fast forward, now I'm working in an area where now everything makes sense, because I always ask what happens afterwards. So now I'm working in a place where now I see the effect of after what happens. And some of these kids, I actually see them come from group homes, or they already did some county time, and now we bring them in. But again, it's a federal offense. Whatever they did, it has to be with the federal guidelines and so on. And in there, I saw myself in a lot of these men. Why I say this is, I started learning that in there, the majority, not some needs to be there, but the majority are placed in there because the system failed them. And so they're in a place where I used to live at. So they were only taught how to be drug dealers. Guess what? That's all they know, because
survival skills.
Something to support the family. It doesn't make them a bad person. They're hustling, trying to maintain and put some food on the table. It's the only thing they knew.
Mm-hmm.
And so I relate with this. And because I lived that life that they lived and that they're experiencing, I'm able to actually articulate with them. I can actually understand where they're coming from. I'm not there to try to punish them. I'm not there to care what the hell they're there for. That's not me. My rule of thumb with them, they know how I am. And I'm not a big dude. Because a lot of guys always laugh and they're like, how the hell you managed to make it all these years in there? Don't they eat you alive? And yeah, a lot of them can eat me for breakfast. I'm only 5'3". So, like, I'm not a big dude. But my mouth will be like for 7 feet tall. Like, I'm that dude. So, but the reality is that I treat them like human. And that's what helps me. I give them the respect, and that's what I expect in return. I don't let them think that, I don't get in a place where they know that do not take my kindness as a weak sign.
Mm-hmm.
When I step it up a notch, I'm going to step it up a notch, regardless, whatever, because I'm there to do a job. But at the same time, I also need to be mindful of how I operate. Is if I start rattling the cage, I go home. The next officer that comes in, he doesn't know that I started some beef with John Jones. Not John Jones is pissed. And he's going to take it on what? And the guy that's just there now, that's doing his job. And so we have went through some sad time through our place where we had a gentleman, get stabbed and killed by inmates because of interaction of this, or something had taken place where they found out later on all this could have been prevented, all because of some lack of attitude or how they, the integrity or how they carry themselves. I'm big on that. But again, I'm working in a place where it's all different personality in there. And
Do you think that racism in there also plays a part?
Oh, yeah, big time. It's in there as well. But again, it's who runs the house. And that goes back to when we were talking about the principal. If he has some sort of way how he presents himself, how he runs it, everybody runs with it. And that's the problem with it, because then everything becomes political. It's like whoever comes in, a lot of them want to be
They want to be
they
macho.
want a brown nose. So like that's it. Like, and I'm not that guy. I don't need to crawl on my knees or brown nose anybody or try to be buddy buddies with anybody to do what I have to do. I just do my job, treat everyone with respect, whether it's staff or the inmates. I'm big on that. In fact, because I couldn't understand both sides. And the good thing is that when they know where you stand, they're not dumb. They know, like when they know where you stand at, they don't mess with you. And that's with staff or the person that is incarcerated. And so that kind of like, that's pretty much what I'm, like what takes place there. I mean, everyone has a different experience. For me, because I've witnessed and it has happened to me, I have gone through a lot of nonsense and issues at the workplace. And of course, some might say, no, it's not true. You overseeing it. You gotta get up early in the morning and put a fast one on me. I'm that guy. Don't rock me to sleep. I'm street minded guy. So I was raised and born in the street pretty much. Yes, I had them later down the road. My stepfather came in my life and he became my role model. But at the end of the day, like they say, I move out of the hood, but the hood never moved out of me.
Mm-hmm.
And so that mentality always stays with me wherever I go at. And I'm always cautious and conscious of what I'm saying and what I'm doing. It's an important for me. So, yes, what you're saying, you have that any place you go. The problem with this is that when all this resonated with what had taken place with the officer, we started getting mails from the higher ups in Washington, D.C. and all that, that now we have to be mindful going home wearing our uniform, which created another hell for me because here I am. I have the privilege
Oh my God.
to make a difference. And I use that to my advantage to do whatever I had to do to make a difference. But then when you have things of this scenario with officers being crooked, not everyone is the same. So it makes it hard for a lot of us that are really out there doing our job and doing our work. It creates, a scare feeling because I should be worrying about how I'm going to make it out of work, not feeling safe at work and then worrying about being in the street because I'm going to get jumped because I'm wearing a damn, my uniform, and then they're retaliating me because, they're going to start that whole nonsense of whatever it is that they believe.
Do you feel like, I'm sorry, I was trying to turn off notifications, like ching ching. I'm like, oh, yeah, like, so sorry, don't want to be rude. I know you guys are hearing it. I'm like, dang, any other time I don't get all of this. I don't get all of this love. Now, but not today.
I thought it was my son. He was I was looking at him, giving him the eye, like, yo, calm down.
Like, the kids is not an issue. People calling. I'm like, I know y'all know. Look, y'all should be watching, not calling me. Like, but it's amazing. And what I love about your story is that you are showing, right, that no matter what, you can be thrown all of this stuff in life, to still come out. Like you said, your dad was a prisoner, but you decided that, I'm going to, now you're on the opposite side. You get what I mean? Where easily you could have been on the same side that your dad was on.
And I was there. I was there at one point when I was in my teenage. I mean, I was at that point where, listen, I remember, that's why I say, like, it was by the grace of God that I'm end up in the other side of the page. Because when I was in the Bronx, I remember my cousin and a couple other kids, and up by Bronx River Avenue, Whitlock, there was a light that took like 5 hours to change. The truck would pull up, and they'll be like in the middle of the night, and we'll go in the back and pop the lock, take everything outside of there, go to Huss Point, sell it, make that money. And you know, so that was like my lifestyle back then, because and then my mother didn't know nothing. All I had to tell her, hey, I'm in Titi's house. And okay, long as I know where you're going, which I was never there anyway, but she just wanted to know where the hell I was at. And so, and this is, you know, and then get involved with the wrong crowd. But then something inside of me would tug different, you know, like I was engaging in all this craziness, but I never had a conscience of like, whatever I get caught, what's going to happen? You know, I never had that thought in my mind. But the blessing is that I will hang out with these big time drug dealers or whoever the hell, and they were like, listen, because my nickname then was Little Man. I probably grew an inch since then anyway, but
that's 5'3" stat.
you know, I still the same height since I was like 12 years old. So, and then, you know, they were like, yo, Little Man, this ain't for you. And so, and I remember these guys, like, they were older. So I used to hang out with a lot of older people, older guys. And so, because I used to carry myself like an old man, you know, like I was young, but because my father used to hang out with so many old people, so to speak, you know, my mentality kind of like gravitated on that, I guess. And they'll be like, listen, man, I do what I do because that's all I know, but this ain't for you, you know. And so I was blessed because I guess what they took a liking on me, because I was a freaking clown. I'm always a comedian. I'm always joking around and goofing off all day long. Like that's, I'm high 24/7, naturally high, right? Nothing in drugs. So just in case people were like, oh yeah, what you taking? I'm taking nothing.
Right.
You know?
Happy on life.
That's it, you know. And so, you know, so that's pretty much what happening. So it's just it became a whole different ball game. So that's why I thought it was like so crazy. Now I'm in a place where I remember my father telling me one time when I visited him, Rikers Island, saying that the dogs get treated better in the ASPCA than they do in jail. I didn't get it, you know, like I was like, I didn't get what the hell you saying about that. Because I was still like, I was like 9, 10 years old when I went and go and see him once in a while. And fast forward, I see what they're talking about, because you have some staff that's insane with the way they talk and the way they treat some of these guys. Granted, it is what it is. They dare whatever, just because you know their history. Who gives a damn? It's for me. I don't understand why some individuals feel the need to try to be tripping like that. I'm just gonna put it that way. They tripping on something. I always say
Power.
Your woman must
Question too about that.
Yeah, because that was like, your woman must not let you be a man at home, that you had to come to work and be tripping on these cats and saying, listen, or do this, or do that, or I'm going to put you in the hole, I'm going to do this, or what you said. You know, it's like, and some of these dudes, man, I don't know why the hell they would, but if I was them, I'll be in a special housing unit every day for the rest of my time that I'll be sentenced there, because special housing unit is a place where you're locked in 23/7. You walk out for an hour.
You also have a question about that. Have you ever had to check another police for doing too much?
Oh, that's pretty much, I'm known for that. So I don't have a tendency. I don't like what they say. My mother said, "No tengo pelo en la lengua." You know, I don't got no hair in my tongue, and I'm gonna say it like it is. And so that's just me. A lot of people know me for being a big mouth. You know, like I don't shy away from nobody. If I had to say something to the warden, so be it. I have to say something to Captain.
Don't tolerate the BS.
You know, I'm that dude, because at the end of the day, if I know I'm right, I'm gonna go full force. Now, if I know, you know, like I don't know my whole, like what the hell's going on, then I'm gonna choose my battles carefully, you know, because at the end of the day, the sad part is they do have my job in their hands, you know, like at any given day, because you got to keep in mind, you're dispensable. You're nobody. You're something there now, but anytime they refuse to want to deal with you, they can get the next dude coming in. You're out the door.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so at the end of the day, I also have to keep in mind that I have responsibility at home. I have a family I have to take care. I have bills to pay. So I choose my battles different. So if there's something that's out of pocket, I'm on game. I'm all on it, because the fact, you know, some of you guys think, oh, you defending the inmates against us. It's not. I'm defending what's right and wrong.
I have a question. What is it that you will be like if there's a young lady or young guy that is listening to us today, what word of advice would you give them if they're struggling? And what is it that you can give them to to get them on the right path? Like, if you could just give them a word of advice. And then you have another question that was sent. So let's get to that one first. What would you say?
I would say that despite what people tell you, what matters more is that you really understand that you have value in this world. That other people might tell you other things. They might tell you that you're not worth nothing, that you're a dumbass, that you're this, or whatever it is that they want to call you and what they do. Please believe that you really matter, that you really are a vessel that's valuable, that you hold a gift inside that is waiting to come out. Because what you're doing is you're taking away from me. In other words, that I'm never going to know anything else if you don't come out with it. So whatever it is that's pressing your heart, then follow it. You're going to have people going to laugh at you. But at the end of the day, those people that are laughing at you are going to be asking you for some help. You maintain yourself, keep your stuff, because I had to learn that I had people laugh at me, make fun of me, never believed in me. And they're like, oh, this guy's tripping. He's talking so much crap. He just panicked. He just likes to talk a lot of crap and this and that. But the reality is, I am who I am because of them. I'm that guy that I want to prove them wrong. That's just me. Like, oh, you say I can't do it? All right. I'm going to do what I have to do. And it's important. It's really important for the fact that, and who you surround yourself with. It's hard sometimes to let go of people that has been in your life for a long time. You're not trying to act like you stuck up or nothing like that. It's the fact that you.
Don't be afraid to lose friends or the people that you're around. And I think that's what it is. Like, I tell my kids this, is that the friends that you have now is not going to be your friends 5 years from now, 10 years from now.
Right. And that's how you can tell who the person's going to be. Who you have in your life is who you're going to be. And so if you don't start brushing away from people like, and this includes family too, because you got some people like, how the hell you stay away from family? Easy. Do something that every time they call, yo, brother, no, I can't because, I got to do something. Or if she be like, oh, like, I thought you were going to come with me, do my nail. Yeah, I'm sorry, but something came up that I had to really attend to. You don't have to give so much damn information. I'm guilty of that. My woman goes crazy because I get too much damn information, but it's just me. But you don't have to give information to anyone. You run your life how you want it to fit. And I'm saying that I know that people will say, oh, talk is easy, but doing it. I walked the damn thing. I walked it. I lived it, I breathed it, and I tasted it. And I'm living proof. Because when people tell me you can't do this, it's a bunch of crap. It really starts with how bad you want it. Because at the end of the day, nobody's going to give it to you.
I told you, that's my favorite saying. That is how bad do you want it? If you want it bad enough,
listen, man,
you can achieve anything.
One of my favorite mentors, Eric Thomas.
Mine too.
How bad do you want it?
Yes.
Like you need it. Like
I saw that you saw him in person too. I seen him in person.
I put up a picture and all that with him. We met up in person, and I took a course that he had. He's a phenomenal dude, and so
yes, he is.
When you want it as bad as you want it, breathe.
Yes. You guys should check him out too.
But for me,
that's great to hear him speak and really say how he does. How bad do you want to breathe? It's like drowning. How bad do you want it?
That's how I am, and then it gets to the point where when enough is enough, like you don't get consumed and then feel like you have to be. You cannot wait for opportunity to be knocking on your door. You have to look for opportunity.
That's right.
Make opportunity happen. So if you sit in your ass all day moping and crying about crap, then don't blame nobody but yourself.
And you can't be afraid to fail. I think in life, people are so afraid to fail. Failing is not like failure. Failing if something doesn't work out, is a lesson. Everything is a lesson. Take what you could take from it to better yourself.
That's what I said. That's why I said it's a blessing and it's a lesson at the same time. Because then now, how are you gonna use that, and what did you learn from it? And that's what it goes. What did you learn from it? What you get out of it? Sometimes you might not know, but you gotta figure it out. Because at the end of the day, and don't waste your time either, wasting trying to figure the damn thing out, because when you're doing that, time is going by. Because at the end of the day, there's something unique about time. It doesn't stop. It's gonna go without you. So whether you want to sit there all day moping and crying and pointing finger and blaming, I could have sat back and say, oh, because of my mother, or my father, or and go on and on and not be in the place where I'm at. No, because of them is who I am.
That's right.
And because of who they made me to be. Because then I realized they wouldn't do nothing wrong. It's just the upbringing that they had and the circumstances that was going in my life. Yeah, certain things don't, ain't supposed to happen, but it did. So now what? What you're gonna do with that? And so, if, like you said, like you went through your issues and you went through your things, and they allow you to become a person and become loving mother and a loving wife and a loving friend and so on, just because of the ordeal you went through. So now you say, you know what? It's not right. Just because it happened to me doesn't mean that I have to continue the cycle. So at some point, somebody has to break that chain. You have to break that generation. So that's what's going on. That the generation continues and continues, and it's now passed on. And it takes that one person to really say, you know what, screw that. I'm not doing that. I joke around my wife all the time. Every time I look at her, I say, honey, she goes, yeah. I say, I'm going to be a millionaire. And she starts to laugh. But I say it consistently. It says that when you're speaking into a system.
That's right.
And so I am going to be a millionaire. And I told her, I want to be a millionaire for the thought that to help others that have helped me. I'm not in for the money for myself. I told her I couldn't pay off all my debt and I'll be happy as hell wherever the hell I'm at. Yeah, I got a little caviar taste, but what the hell? Who doesn't? But at the end of the day, my purpose is I want to create something and create a platform, create a legacy for my family to continue what I left off.
See, that's why we connected, because we're on the same page.
You know what I'm saying? So, this is what all came about. And so this is what the whole point of pressing forward. You never want to settle. When you settle, you just got complacent. And so now it's like, now what?
I love that. I love that.
So whatever you do, even though if you meet your goal, now what?
Keep pushing.
You got to get to the next level.
Keep pushing. You can't stay stuck. And I say this because one of the shows that I had that we were talking about is that we gotta break chains. We gotta break cycles. Real quick with myself was my family, my immediate family, my mom, my dad, my siblings, nobody graduated high school.
Right.
Nobody had a license to drive. And so as I was, growing up, I said to myself, I did have to leave school, unfortunately. But when I got into my 20s, I was in my early 20s, and I'm like, I had my kids, I had 3 at the time. And I was like, if I don't break, I was like, I'm going to break this cycle. I went back to school, got my GED, 30 points away from a perfect score. I got my license, started school as a medical biller. And I did that in 6 months. I did all of that in 6 months. Took the classes, got my GED, got my license, bought my little first hoop car, But
it's a good feeling because you earned it and you work hard for it. Nobody gave it to you. So
if you want it bad enough, you're going to make it happen.
Right.
And I did that with
you. You want to continue going. And I was like, man, this feels good.
Breaking cycles is what matter, guys. Like really breaking cycles, not being afraid to go out there and help your neighbor, going out there to help. I'm not saying you got to help any and everybody that comes by. Always put your guard up because you never know what you're coming into. But get connected with your community, knowing what resources is out there to help someone, because you can't help everybody. But if you can just pass on some information, like we have across the screen, I'm going to post that later, just so we can put it out there. And real quick, because we're going to end the show, but this is not the last time you're going to see Mr. Morales press forward. He's definitely going to be back again with us on another topic. I can't wait for that one. But where did you get the press forward?
All right. So the press forward was I was going through a hard time in my life at the time in 2013. I was going through a divorce. I was going through a lot of things in life. And I was at a place where I didn't even know which way to go. And I started then just praying. I was praying to the Lord. Listen, yeah, because at that time now in 2008, I had actually it was an inmate that started ministering the word to me, and then from that point, I met a gentleman, an officer that worked there that was like on fire for the Lord, and then I started talking to him, and so then that started progressing. So once I accepted the Lord in my life, things started taking place because then I started realizing what was my purpose. Why the hell did I go through what I'm going through? Why did I? Because then things started making sense to me. You know, that's what worked for me. And so I started realizing that things were now taken away from me, even though I was still following the Lord. And I was like, what's going on? So I'm doing what you want me to do, but yet now everything's falling apart. And so I got to a place where I understood when he said, at your weakest point, here's your strength. Because I got to a place where I was so broken. When I say I was so broken, I just didn't want to live anymore. I just didn't care. I just like, listen, whatever it is you have in store for me, please give me something. Like, and then I remember him giving me the word next level. And I was like, and it's crazy because in 2006, I did a design called Next Level and then tossed it to the side. That was that. But it kept giving me that vision because I was thinking of how I'm gonna make money now. Now I'm broke. I have nothing. I gotta leave the house. I'm in a like it was bad. It was bad. And so now I'm like, and I didn't tell my family because I'm so damn private. I didn't want to put my family in a situation where, God forbid, then things work out, and then the family already spilled the bean. They're like, oh, I never liked her to begin with, and now you get back together. Oh my God, I'm so happy to see you. Oh, you back together. Oh, I was telling him why he left you. You know, like I didn't want to put them in that. So nobody knew about the damn thing. And so I'm suffering by myself with all this. And I remember on my knees and I had the Bible on the table and I'm like, next level. Like, are you kidding me? Like, and I said, listen, if you show me that word in the Bible, I will start serving you from this day on. And I'm waiting. And then he tells me to read Philippians 3:12 to 16. And I'm reading. And And so I'm like, all right. So then I started reading because I thought I was bugging out. So I'm like, you sure? Like, I'm hearing what you're saying. And so, you know, like you start bugging out. And you start talking to yourself. Like, and so I started reading. So then at 3:14, it said, I press on towards the goal to win the heavenly prize of the upward call of God in Christ Jesus. And that press on towards, and I was like, what the hell did that mean? So I know what it means, so I was questioning myself. So I'm going through the dictionary, the definition of everything, next level, pressing forward, pressing towards, pressing this. And that's where they began. That's where the birth of Press Forward started. And because I'm an artist, I went to music and arts. That was my scapegoat back then. Drawing was where I used to just disappear from having to hear my father beat up my mother and all this other crap. I used to hide and just draw. So that was like my passion. And so like this handwriting, you see, it's my handwriting. And so I do a lot of graffiti and everything. So I started incorporating it together. And in 2013, that was the birth of Press Forward. That's what started that. And then it started when I was going to the Spartan race. And then I was going to get sponsored by Reeboks. But because I had an identity theft through the job, there was a cyber breach. They couldn't do a contract with me.
Oh, wow.
So that went out the window. So I'm like, so that's what started that. And then I was going through these events and it was therapeutic for me because I wasn't even like really an active guy, you know? And so that's how that started to begin. And then one thing led to another. And then as time went by, people will be like, oh yeah, you should do this kind of hat. You should do this kind of pants. And I'm like, no, slow down, man. I was like, I'm only trying to promote the word, man, trying to inspire people that you want to press forward. And then that's how that started. They were like, well, what are you trying to get at? I was like, well, if you press forward, you always want to finish strong. And that's my slogan, press forward, finish strong. Because that's what you always want to do. So the day that you leave, you want to leave with a bang. You want to leave with legacy. You want to leave with something that people are going to remember you and carry on that. So, and that's what that started. So that's the whole name behind everything.
I love it. Like, oh, I love it. I love it.
But that's how that started.
I love that. I love that. I really do. And let me tell you, like Kimberly says, seek and ye shall find. You know, we all have a purpose.
Right.
If you're thinking about committing suicide, if you feel like, you know, you're in a domestic violence relationship, if you're being bullied, if anything, like you matter, like you said, you are valuable, you're worthy, you know, and just seek. You know, everybody's not spiritual, I get it. But so what? Just take the time to pray.
I try to stay away from that because I try. A lot of people don't know. They're like, "Oh yeah, person forward." But then when I tell them what it is and how I got it, they're kind of like, "Oh, this religion." I said, "No, it's what worked for me. It's
exactly.
It defines anybody. You know, everyone has to believe on something. Even the atheists believe in something. So whatever works for that person, so be it. But for me, was the point that we all have one thing in common. We want to continue going forward, not backwards.
That's right.
So we don't want to sit where we're at. And so when you get to that phase or that stage that makes you feel so good, what happens when that makes you feel good? You want to try it again. So you're level. And so that's how that started. You know, so it's important that, you know, and it's hard, you know, depending on the circumstances that some people are going through. It's very important that they understand that it's only a call away or talk to someone. Because you'd be surprised of these person that you think is not going to help you will come across and help you. And so, you know, it's important that you just don't sit where you at. Become a voice or become somebody's voice. Either way, you gotta either represent yourself or represent somebody that needs your help.
Yeah. Oh my God, I so enjoyed today's show. I hope you guys enjoyed. I really do. I enjoyed this on so many different levels. It's crazy. Like, I feel like, honestly, when all of this COVID stuff is over, I feel like we really need to connect.
Oh yeah.
And we need to take this to the streets.
Like I said, I'm laughing. I'm like, usually when I do my recording and put it up, I was looking at my wife. I'm like, I feel so stupid. Like, that's not how I talk because I'm so animated. Like right now, I'm sitting here, it's killing me because I'm the guy that walk all over the damn place. So
yeah. I'm like up, down, moving around. Oh, you know.
Because I gotta move around because I like to be plugged in when I speak, and I like the engagement with the audience because you get that vibe, you get the feedback, and however the level is in the air, the intensity, that's how I feed off. So it's like hard going through all this, but I mean, I'm getting used to it, but I'd rather be out.
Don't worry. Let me tell you something. And I speak this to you that God has so many things in store for you. And everything that we go through in life is for us to live it as a living testimony, not just to speak it, but to know that we lived it, we conquered it. And, you know, everybody's different. But for me, and as you say for yourself, through the grace of God, like I'm still standing. I'm not 100% perfect. I got some flaws and some, you know, but guess what? I'm still standing. I'm still learning. I'm still motivating. We're still pressing forward.
That's right.
Pressing forward. You know, finishing strong. We're about to hit those millions. And because I claim it too, you know, and when God's timing gives it, it's not when we want it, it's when God blesses it to say this is your time. And like you said, a lot of times you got to hit rock bottom and you got to cry, you got to scream and shout and know that at the end of the day that all glory goes to God at the end of the day. And when sometimes we have to get to that point to know what it really is to be grateful and appreciative, you know. And I think a lot of
you gotta be in the dark side before you go into the light. So
exactly.
You go into the light, you gotta make sure that you don't forget what the light has taught you in the darkness. You know, so I usually tell people like, yeah, I don't like the expression of, oh, there's a light at the end of the tunnel, because my expression, sometimes you gotta be careful that light is not a train. You know what I'm saying?
I like that. I like it. But I want to Thank you so much. I know you are tired because Jose just got out from work and he jumps right on with us today. So I want to say thank you so much. Like, you are an inspiration. May God continue to bless you triple fold. Shout out to Compel America. Thank you for all that you're doing and just giving hope to those, giving life, speaking life to those. So that's very important. Keep doing what you're doing. And just, Jose, just keep sharing what you're doing. Just keep sharing your life, your testimony. And we are going to, well, I don't know if you still got your coffee, but cheers.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
We will definitely be having you back. So we're gonna close out with some more music. And Jose, enjoy your day with your beautiful family. Have a great weekend. Stay blessed. And guys, thank you all for coming and joining us today. Once again, please share, go subscribe to our pages. And actually, I gotta get your Facebook page too. I didn't know it was on Facebook. So we're just go share, and just subscribe to our pages. Have a blessed day. And now I know that I gotta switch to the mic this time. Now I. Okay.
All right. Thank you so much for everything.
Thank you. Have a blessed one.
I cannot lie, I'm feeling the pain, I'm trying to stay strong, yeah. Back on your bags, cause I'm on the way, I'm smoking no strong, yeah. Wipe the tears, I cover your face, you gotta stay strong, yeah. Baby girl, love me, baby girl, love you, no one above you, only got yeah. Only got above you, baby. Yeah. Now really got something to brag about. How should I feel about all the ways I'm doing you wrong, yeah. I cannot lie, I'm feeling the pain, I'm trying to stay strong, yeah. Pack up your bags, cause I'm on the way, I'm smoking no strong, yeah. Wipe out the tears, I cover your face, you gotta stay strong, yeah. How should I feel about all the ways I'm doing you wrong, yeah. I cannot lie, I'm feeling the pain, I'm trying to stay strong, yeah. Pack up your bags, cause I'm on the way, I'm smoking no strong, yeah.